All right, excited to get back, back in pads today, full practice for our guys. Got some good work in yesterday, and we'll continue kind of taking advantage of the extra time here early in the week, but get right back on schedule. Excited to get back to U.S. Bank Stadium in front of our fans. A heck of a challenge coming in here. Kyle's football team, the Niners, are playing as well as anybody in the National Football League over the course of the first part of the season, and that's really been a pretty consistent standard of what they've been able to do there. A very, very talented team, really in all three phases, incredibly well coached, and they play very, very hard and physical, and we're going to have to, continue to prepare in anticipation of hopefully playing one of our best games and trying to get a win at home in front of our fans. I know you guys have been updated on some roster moves, but we did put Marcus Davenport on injured reserve with the ankle injury. We signed Kene back from his opened up window back to the roster. Opened Jalen Naylor's window as well. He'll practice more than likely this week on a limited basis, and we'll see if he's available to us for the game. And Tristan Jackson is back on the practice squad. And then lastly, just want to congratulate Jordan Hicks on the NFC Defensive Player of the Week award. Very well earned, huge for one of our captains, and some of the plays he made in that game last week to help us secure our first NFC North win was massive for our team.
Kevin, is being 0-3 at home, has it just been kind of a matter of turnovers negating that advantage that you typically have at home?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we've had some critical ones at home, and it's been very competitive down to the end, but we've certainly done, that's kind of was the theme of those of what I look back on the early part of the season. Those turnovers are plays that sting. That you still, think about what if first play of the game here, or, first third down conversion there in the red zone, or going back to even in the opener, chance to be up, kind of in a similar way that we were the previous year when we turned it over late in the half there. So it's definitely something that you think about to drive how you try to improve, and what I do and our staff, what we do with our team and how we prepare. I think the ball security's been better, the last couple weeks from a standpoint of the ball carriers. Really going back to since the first play of the Kansas City game, that's got to be something that's a standard, because that formula against this team for sure, like most teams in the NFL, that's a losing formula to turn the football over.
The last couple of games and his versatility on the front.
Yeah, I think that outside backer room, when we got Marcus back and had really gotten some really quality play out of P. Jones and clearly DJ to go along with what Daniil's done early on, I was really excited about that room, and I still am, just knowing our depth's going to be tested now, and Pat Jones and DJ need to continue doing the really good things that they've both done. Not always plays that jump out on the stat sheet, but Pat Jones makes a lot of plays physical, and DJ's really been just a do-it-all guy for us throughout the first part of this season, and Daniil's been really good. So we'll hopefully rely on those guys, maybe get some, whether it's an elevation here or kind of morphing some different guys around, position flex-wise. We'll see what fits best.
Do you have any sense on a longer-term prognosis for Marcus? Does he need surgery, or will you get him back at some point this year?
I think he's still getting some opinions. A high ankle sprain, kind of the severity of it sometimes can require a procedure, but I don't have that information right now. I just know that Marcus is, he was pretty excited to be feeling healthy and back in there. So we'll get that timeline, when we figure out what's best for him.
With the amount of pressure you guys bring, that in some ways it helps limit the number of big plays downfield just because the ball has to come out quicker. Has that been kind of a side effect of that at all?
I think so. We have given up some big plays, Ben, on some of those pressure looks, but we've also kind of talked people out of, maybe taking a few more of those shots. And looking back on the game last week, I mean, we're really in the similar look on all three turnovers that got forced from a standpoint of the strip sack return from Hicksy, same look on the interception by Hicks, and then Byron's last kind of end of the game, towards the end of the game interception we're all kind of on the same look, and we got it blocked 3 different ways with some effectiveness by our guys affecting the quarterback on all 3 plays. So I think we're still going to be aggressive, but to me it's how we marry those looks, and whether we're bringing, we're bringing 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7, trying to do it out of looks that present the same to the offense and how they're trying to pick up the max pressure looks.
As we're doing with the foot, and then if you don't have him, how do you feel like Dalton did stepping in the other day?
Yeah, Ezra's progressing pretty well. Getting the swelling down in there, and I know he's feeling better and better. We'll see kind of what his workflow potentially could look like as the week goes on. But I thought Dalton, things that jumped out when he went in there, just he was incredibly detailed for a guy that really has been progressing towards getting that opportunity in there, and he was very physical. In the run game, it really showed up. You can tell, the game makes sense to him when he's in there. No matter kind of the post-snap movement or the look of the defense, he can adapt and get the job done, regardless of what the circumstances were going in the game like that. Against a team that was moving a lot up front and some pressures here and there. I thought he did a great job, and we'll continue to get him a little bit more work as Ezra kind of works his way back in there, and still want to make sure Blake is ready to go in multiple spots as well.
You see from
defense been just so difficult the last 2 years?
They truly, when you say impactful players at all 3 levels, they have maybe, some of the best at their position. When you're talking about Bosa, Armstead, Fred and Greenlaw make up maybe the best linebacker combination in the league, and Tafanga on the back end is he has really come on. I have some history going back to LA, just watching his progression and just the way he changes the game, so aggressive but yet incredibly well positioned, it seems, on every play that he makes. It's not by accident that you combine that with his ability and his explosiveness to play at a really high pace and speed. That's a formula for forcing turnovers and making a lot of tackles. But they have impact players really that you have to account for in multiple areas of their defense. And then they play their scheme really, really well. They're not going to do 1,000 different things because, they're pretty darn successful with what they do. And that's what makes them, they play really hard. We saw that even last year in joint practice against them. We were able to make some plays, but they're flying around play after play after play, and the effort, the finish, the physicality, they hang their hat on those things, and you got to try to match that as an offensive football team against them. And they're going to make some plays, but how consistent can you be on those early downs to avoid those longer yardage, kind of known passing situations? We were in far too many of them a week ago, and you hate doing that on the road, but you really hate doing it against a team like San Francisco because they seem to feast in those situations.
They both had a sack last week.
Yeah, Gregory's always been a talented, explosive player, and really he shows up on the tape immediately when he arrives there. And anytime you're on the opposite side of a player of Nick Bosa's caliber with his skill set that Randy has, he's going to be able to make some plays. So you got to have a real good plan for both of those edges. And then they've got 2 really good Hargraves in there as well. I should have mentioned. I mean, they've got some really, really impressive guys along that front, and I think Chris Kasarik, their D-line coach, does a really good job.
Was it necessary to talk to your team at all about some of the pregame antics of last week, the 49ers and Browns, or is that just kind of an anomaly? Because that looked like a college game.
We're going to show up and worry about what we can control, which is getting ready to be locked in to play a really good game. I don't worry so much about our group, regardless of who's on the other side, and I'm sure Kyle feels the same way. It's Monday Night Football at US Bank Stadium. I think we'll be just fine getting revved up for that one, and we know the challenge that it'll be. But my hope is our focus will be, once that clock kicks off, 60 minutes ticking all the way down, that we're doing the things that we can control to try to win the football game. But it's definitely something I think that we've got to monitor around the league, just because you don't want punches being thrown, or you don't want pushing and shoving before, really at any time. But certainly not during the time where you're trying to get your team ready to go.
you seen from Andrew Booth in terms of his development?
Yeah, he's done a really nice job, and I thought getting him in there a little bit with what he's been doing in practice, and kind of it comes back to that development word. I mean, the timeline for all the players that you bring in here, especially as draft picks, it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be everybody requiring to be at certain points of their progression at the same time. And I just think Andrew's done a phenomenal job. He's really been maybe one of our better special teams players all year long, and then he's always been a really good tackler. He's always around the ball. He just continues to work his technique and fundamentals and coverage, and his fit in this defense, pairing him with Caleb and Byron and Mackay, and that group gives us some versatility at that corner position. But I was really proud to see him get in there, and proud of him seeing him get in there and make an impact like he did. Glad you asked about him.
Hicks was saying, yes, I'm a leader, yes, I'm a captain, but it was nice to show the younger guys why I'm still here.
Yeah.
How important is it, and what do you like about the game that he's playing right now?
Yeah, his ownership of what we're doing, and which is a lot on defense, is pretty spectacular. And that green dot, to kind of have all the communication from Flo drive through him to the rest of the 10 guys out on the field. It's pre-snap with Jordan, but I don't think it needs to be said. Since he's arrived here, he's just consistently been a do-your-job kind of guy, and bringing a lot of guys along with him, and that's been the coolest thing. We've got some young linebackers in that room around him. Him and TD kind of bringing along BA and IP. Have brought Nick Vigil back to the practice squad, so it's a cool collection of guys that have done, a combination of guys that have done a lot of different things in this league, with some young guys that are progressing every single day. But I couldn't imagine not having Jordan Hicks on our football team and one of our leaders.
How important is that in this defense to have the veteran with the green dot to kind of quarterback things with how many adjustments there are?
Yeah, I think it's not only the green dot, but Harry on the back end with Cam, and Metellus has been a huge part of the communication, and then still you want to have Byron Murphy's ability to go inside and out and potentially match people. There's a lot of moving parts to that, and the coordination of it, week in and week out has been really strong. I think Flo deserves a lot of that credit, but as Flo likes to say, defensive football, it's about equipping those guys with the tools and then turning them loose to go play. And I thought they did a great job of that last weekend.
Kevin, what are you guys doing better on third and fourth and one? It seems like there's been a kind of a turnaround there.
Yeah, we've, I think part of it sometimes is a mindset thing, Mark, and getting those inside of ones, which we've had a bunch this year. Kirk's been pretty effective on the sneak. We've gotten downhill on some other runs, and I think back to a couple times. Last week we've got a pretty clean look, and potentially have an explosive on a run, and we end up drawing a holding call there that kind of set us back. We had a fumble early in the year where Kirk kind of on a toss play where he kind of bumped into Ed early on. Those things are we've been very effective, but you look at it like there's still more out there for us in those short yardage situations. But the key is being in those situations as much as possible and not being in 3rd and 11, 14, 15 by things that we could control, that should just do a little bit better call here, better execution there. So it's all of us, making sure we get more of those opportunities, and then hopefully we continue to have our success there, for sure.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Good
guys.
practice.